Hey up, and welcome to Yorkshireman Models, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Yesterday I went to Poundland, which is a bargain shop in UK where you buy items usually a bit cheaper than what you would normally pay in a normal shop. But anyway, while I was there, they've got an arts and crafts section, and I saw these and I thought, you know what, this is a really cheap way to get into oil painting with the Daler Rowney are really good oil paints, brushes and that, and I thought, why not show you? So we've got for 10 quid here, this is what these £3 for the oil paints, £3 for the brushes, and it said £4 for this. It may have been cheaper this actually, I don't know, I did buy a lot of stuff, but where it was on the shelf it said £4, but this is a low odour thinner. Now, you don't have to buy that because any kind of turpentine, that says terps on it, I've got here, or white spirit. This is a low order one anyway, I bought from B&Q, which is a DIY store in UK. But if it's the first time you've done it, you've probably not got none of this. So I bought a bottle of this anyway. So £3, £3, £4, there's a tenner, £10, and you've got your basic materials to start an oil paint. First off, we'll do the brushes. The brushes, I've got a couple of these brushes anyway, and for the amount you pay for them, they're not cheap, they're an absolute steal. They're that good. They're a synthetic brush, and it does state for acrylic paints, but that's what mostly they sell. But you can use them for any, in reality they're that good. But you've got 3 flatheads. I usually find if you just wet these up a bit, you'll get a nice, because there's usually a bit of stuff in them that keeps them together, but there you go, it's all free anyway, that one. But you've got 3 flatheads, a bigger one. All of these will come in for all types of your painting anyway when you're modelling. There's your 3 flatheads, 3 different sizes, and you've got a long, what they call a liner brush, and these are absolutely brilliant for doing pin washers and that, for doing your lines and stuff. And you've got a little one that's good for cleaning up as well. These are brilliant for cleaning the flatheads. So there's your brushes. Like I say, £3. They're not even £1 a piece. It's unbelievably good value. And then you've got your pots. Well, the pots are tubes of oil. As you can see, we've got, in my view, all the colours you're ever really going to want. You've got your black and your white, so you can darken, lighten panels however you want. Makes fantastic washers as well, does the black. You've got your burnt umber, which is absolutely brilliant for all kind of dirt, all sorts like that. It is probably the most used one I have is the burnt umber. The blue and the red, multiple uses you can get. There's some colouring on that, but multiple uses you can do with them. You can mix them in with these, you can do whatever you want, and you will get varying colours that you can. But they also come well, use well when you're doing modern exhausts on aircraft, because they give it that look like it's been heated up, cooled down, heated up, cooled down to metal look. So they're really handy then. And you've got a yellow, which is another brilliant colour, so if you've got any greens paints, it helps tone them down and gives a nice variation to them. So in my view, there ain't many more colours you'd ever want anyway. You've got a brilliant mix here. So there's paints, there's brushes, and there's thinner. This is a low order thinner. Like I say, you don't have to use this, you can use like that one, cheaper version. But if you're doing it in a room and you've got very little ventilation, try and use low order, because take it from me, if you don't, it really stinks. But that's up to you if you want to do that. But like I say, 10 quid, we're ready to go. So here we've got an old, well that's old, it's just a piece of sprue that were left over from a kit I built, and there's a couple of wing parts on it. So I'll spray these up with a colour on them, and then we'll put a thin varnish or top, because it always helps, and then we'll get down to showing you how to use these. Right, we've got us paint on, as you can see, and the gloss on the top of that. But if you can see, there's actually dimples and the paint's not gone down well. The reason the paint's not gone down well is I've not primed it. These AK paints, well, not AK, sorry, these ammo paints, they don't go down very well without a primer coat going on, but it don't matter. This is just a test bed, just to show you how to mix up and do the actual panel lining and weathering with these oils. So first off, we're going to do panel lining, so we'll get us oil out. We've got black, and at the end of the cap there is a spike, and you use that spike just to punch in, and there you go, there's your oil. These oils have usually got quite a bit of linseed in them, so we'll put a little drop on there, and the more you use the oil, the more that linseed's going to come out. But you can see here, because it's a new new tube, you can see how the linseed has definitely collected a lot up at the top, but you can see it's already spreading out. And if you give this a couple of minutes, 10 or 20 is even preferable, most of that linseed will soak out of that, and it'll make it a lot easier to use that to make what you want. So we'll leave that there for a few minutes and come back to it. Right, we've given this about 10 minutes, and as you can see, it's already well spread out. That's all the oil's coming out. I think it'll be alright to use. I do like to leave it if I can for about 40 minutes, but wanted to crack on with this video. So first off, the long brush. This is the finer point one. It should be fine for what we need here, I believe. You can make what I'm doing now. You can buy it already made. Here it is, one by Mig. There's loads of model variants of it, and I'm a sucker for buying stuff. But this is an enamel type wash, as it says, which this one's an oil version, but they do the exact same thing. So I don't know why I keep buying all of this stuff, I just do. First off, we'll get this bottle opened, and I always try, if I can, to try to get the actual stuff out with a pipette. I always find it a bit easier. So we'll put a few drops in here, should be enough, like that. And we'll get now about that much, not be far off, right, that, and we'll mix it in. And you've just got to keep mixing and mixing and mixing until all the little tiny drops disappear. And it wants to be thicker than that, it wants to be better than that. It's not good enough yet, that. So we'll get a bit more, and probably a little bit more than that, I know. There you go. Ooh, nearly missed that. Back in that. So what we're wanting to get is it to be like a bit of a, as if you'd had a good dark, good strong coffee. There, that's better. Now this, it's got a nice runny consistency. If you put it on the side, what you're wanting is when you've mixed it up like this, is for it to run on the side like that. There. So first off, we want to get rid of a lot of this excess, so I'll just use a kitchen towel, just get rid of that first. That's gone. So let's how to apply this pin wash. And what you do is you just tip it to it, and as you can see, it will run in those panel lines. It doesn't matter if you get excess that moves about, because that will add to the actual weathering effect. just go around following these panel lines, just touching it, just a bit away each time from where you've touched it before, and it will help it flow into one that, like so. Very simple. This is the, I'd have said, about perfect for a panel line wash, as in colour. Because I do use a lot of this black, but sometimes on these lighter coloured paints, this black gets a little bit too strong. I'm not saying it's bad, but you can see this is more of a grey black than a jet black. The black out of the MIG bottle, that is a proper jet black. But these are not. As you can see, it easily flows in, easily does it. Just finish off. There, that's it all done. That's that one. Right, I'll do the same with other, but this time I'm going to use a brown, so you can see the difference between a brown wash in the panel lines and a black wash. But I'll speed that one up for you. So I'll see you in a minute. Right, I'm going to leave these now to dry. It's going to be about 40 minutes-ish, and then I'll show you how you remove this excess that's on it. Right, we've let it dry for a while. I'm hoping it's long enough. And there's two ways to clean this up. Hang on a second, I'll just grab some of these, because these are what I use. So we can either use the brush, or we can use some cotton buds. Brush method. You want a bit of tissue, so a bit of kitchen roll here. Wet your brush, remove most of what's on it, and then what you're doing is you're just running down the edge like so, just to help remove it from that edge. As you can see there, it's coming off absolutely beautiful. And the reason it's doing that sorry about that. Reason it's doing this is because of that gloss that we've put on earlier, and that's why I always recommend to anybody who's going to do this, try and put some gloss on first. If you don't, you'll regret it, because you can react with the paint underneath. But with the gloss on, we can see how you can make that edge really nice and neat, and it shows it off as if it never had any spillage hardly. It does look well, if you ask me. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful edge, nice. And all you're trying to do is to show people that's the panel lines what naturally on the aircraft, and you're wanting it to look a bit darker, so it's making the model look a bit more realistic. Now the other method, Q-tip, or as we call them in the UK, cotton buds. The rubbish now, because they've got cardboard handles, I preferred the plastic ones because you could use them for other stuff as well. The actual thing, you could cut it down and use it like a stretch sprue, but you can't now. Right, cotton buds, you've got two methods. One is, this is the way the air's flowing that way. You can do that with it to remove it. I say that, it's going bloody everywhere, but hey. But like so. And what you'll do is you'll create like wind flow. And it looks a mess at the moment. Like this. Oh. and you look and you think, eh. But what you do now is, once you've got most of that off, now you can start and come in and work set areas. Now I don't think this colour works very well for this with the black, for the wind flow one, because in my view for the wind flow you want it as if it's normal muck, rather than trying to make that colour come through more like that. You're trying to make like a dirt effect with it, and I don't think the black does it as well. But there you go anyway. Started to come a bit more now. Taking a little bit too much. I don't think I've let this dry long enough, to be honest. If you look, it's already taking it all off. I only left it for about 20 minutes in all honesty. But there you go. A bit better. But we have got that streaking effect and that darkness now going into panels, as if it's mucking it. Like so. Yeah, it is taking too much out, but you can see you've got a darkness coming in the panels and you've got the streaky effect. The other one is, which, as I've said before, if you've had enough and you don't like what you've done and you want to remove, you can get some tissue like so, damp it up, and watch here, you're removing lots and lots, if not all of it. A bit more on there. You can see now I'm removing nearly all of that wash off. Probably thought best because it had done a bit too early, but a bit more of this. As you can see, I've just done that, and I've got, I would say most of that wash has come off of there. There. There's a little bit of dark streakiness when I've pulled it through, but it's not as bad as if you just left it. Now this is the effect if you do it with a brown. Now, and I'll do it, my preferred way like this at the minute, and if you do it with a brown, as you can see, you're removing like that, works just the same. But let's do it with a Q-tip, dampen one, or stop calling Q-tip to me, the cotton bud, but you just round that edge. And what I try to do is just follow down the edge like so. A bit on that, a bit off of that one. And as you can see, if you try and limit it, it's not as bad. But if you look at the brown, where you're streaking it, look, I find that streaking effect is a lot better. I'll just get rid of that bit off of there. And what you can do is, now you've took it off of that bit there like that, and you keep bringing these ones down, that's fine. And that one around there, and that down there. You can leave little streak marks. And now this looks more like, in my view, dirt that's got into the actual panel. Now that, in my view, is a lot better than what I've just done with black. There's the black off. There's that on there. So what I'll show you now is another method. It's a little bit different. So we'll need a stubby brush, flat one, and we'll need this pointy one now when I get it out. This, well, not pointy one, but this rounded point one. This one. This time what we're going to do is create a similar effect, but using the oil as it is. But this time we're going to make it so that it looks like it's gotten dirt around these lines rather than just the panel line itself being done and a little bit of dirt. So for a little bit around. And you get your brush. This time you're going to stipple it down the panel line there. Just a bit. Then you can run it down it like so. As you can see, you're starting to get that dirt effect in there from the oil. It's going into the actual panel line, but you're getting like a dirty, smeary effect where you ain't quite got enough. Just have a bit more. It's not going to hurt. All comes off if you want. Into it there. And that, now you've got your lines filled. So let's start and remove some of this. First off, get off of your brush what you've just put on. These have got to be dry brushes to do this. Now what you can do is this. And as you can see, you're getting a smeary dirty line appearing now around those panels. Now this looks probably a bit drastic at the minute, but the more you do this and the more you spread it out, the more it starts to look like dirt. Now if it's a bit much and you want to take a bit off, you can just rub it off. This is a dry again, cotton bud this one, and you can just rub off areas like that where you think there's a bit too much. You see now, so now you can see it looks like that panel clean, but the dirt that's been trapped is running down. And we probably don't want as much as what we've got showing here. So you can start and rub some of this one away. And again here. And I find this effect works really well if you fill in first as well. Leave it to dry obviously. You'll go through a lot of these. Lots. There. Now you're starting to get the more of the natural look of our planes are quite dirty. See? And like I say, if you do that effect on where you've already done like that, like here, so let's get a bit more brown around this. And let's stipple it in a bit. Let's remove it a bit. I don't want as much of it over there and there. Don't want it all on the surface there, so take a bit off of that, take a bit off of there. And now you're getting as if it's followed the wind turbulence. See? Right. Another method. We want some streaking lines. So, I'll just clean off this brush. Don't matter really. We'll get some black this time. So some tiny drops of black. What you can do is put a tiny drop there. Tiny drop there. One on that there. One on that one there. And we'll stick another one there. Right, we want this to have the effect as if it's some dirt deposit that's been dragged down. So we do this. We drag it like so. Oh, one more missed. And you can have it as if it's an oil stain or anything like that, these. Then, because you've done this where you've dragged it, let me get me bit of thinners, and this is where you want another one of these flat-headed brushes. Dip it, remove, and what you do is, it's very simple, neaten up them edges. Now, looks like, more like an oil streak. Well, you've got a bit much. What you're trying to do is to fit it out as well, to make it look like it's a streak and it's getting thinner as it goes away. Like so. Very simple. It's all simple. And we'll do it on this end panel here. Just a couple of drops on this end panel. Get rid of the white that's on this dry one. It's got to be a dry brush. And again, you just start blending it in. You don't want to completely make, like, say, the grey underneath disappear. What you're trying to do is just darken up this panel. So when you're looking at it, especially in certain lights, you start and think, oh, that's a panel that's been changed, or that's a panel with a slightly different colour paint, whatever it is, but just the wear and tear that aircraft get over the years. But the effect's better there. You can see on it. And if you again, like I say, if you mask it off, you completely reduce that risk. You know where it's gone across a bit. But yeah, it's a big difference if you ask me. Certain lights have to hit it right. But that's basic weathering. And if you're doing that to all your models, start with a pin wash to get your pin lines, but it depends on what colour you want. Do whatever you want. Then you put your normal dirt on if you want. Well, actually, do the panels, and then put your dirt on, and you've near enough achieved basic weathering for 10 quid, and you've got all of these left. These will last you, if you're only doing a model every fortnight or so, they'll last you a year or so, these, for 10 quid. You've got all these brushes are all reusable. I think it's a bargain, but that's my view. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope it helps you if you've never done weathering and you're thinking about trying it. And I'll catch you around for the next one.